What is up, guys, and welcome back to another video. And today we have 10 things WWE wishes you forgot. And before we start the video, make sure if you do enjoy to subscribe because it really helps me, and YouTube is also broken, so just check if you're subscribed. Now let's get straight onto the list with number 10, the reveal of the anonymous GM. In 2011, WWE managed to create a great storyline that could have been something huge. Instead of having a general manager show up on Raw, we had someone who was anonymous and would send messages through a computer. Michael Cole would get up and read the messages. It made for a really fun and interesting element. Many fans were also excited to see who would be revealed as a GM. Originally, it was supposed to be Kevin Nash or Triple H as a huge shocker. Instead, Santino Marella would find out that it was Hornswoggle under the ring the whole time. It was terrible and fans were furious. We would have been much happier not knowing who it ever was. Number 9, 18 seconds. WrestleMania 28 was a really good pay-per-view. You had Triple H versus The Undertaker in a Hell in a Cell, CM Punk versus Chris Jericho for the WWE Championship, John Cena versus The Rock, and Daniel Bryan versus Sheamus. The reason I paused a little is because that match could have been easily one of the greatest matches on the card. They had awesome chemistry, and their match at Extreme Rules proves it. Rather than giving them 15 to 20 minutes, we had the match end in a staggering 18 seconds after AJ Lee gave Daniel Bryan a good luck kiss. Daniel Bryan would turn around to a bro kick, and the match was over. It was truly sad to see it end like that because they could have possibly stole the show. Number 8, the NWO Revival. When the NWO made their debut on WCW in 1996, they shook things up in the wrestling world. WWF and WCW were now going head-to-head in the ratings. During a period of time, WCW were actually beating WWF. NWO were the coolest thing on TV at this time. Eventually, the group got bigger and bigger, and it kind of got boring. NWO may have been the faction that sparked the company, but it is also the reason that the company failed in the long run. Everything has an end, and they didn't realize that. Vince McMahon wanted to give the group a revival and give it a try in the WWE. They made their debut in 2002 at No Way Out, and it didn't feel the same. At WrestleMania 18, the crowd would literally turn Hogan face, and he had to split from them. NWO would now get Shawn Michaels to join them, and it was just a huge mess. Number 7, Goldberg squashing Lesnar. Just a little over a week ago, we saw the second match between Brock Lesnar and Goldberg. It was the main event of Survivor Series. They were labeling this as a fantasy warfare match, even though we saw the same match in 2004, which really doesn't make sense because it's not a fantasy anymore. Anyways, many people thought Lesnar was walking in that pay-per-view with an easy win. It turns out Goldberg decided to stay in the WWE for a little longer, and he would tell Vince McMahon this, and Vince changed the result of this match. Goldberg hit 2 spears and a jackhammer, and in 1 minute and 27 seconds, that was it. People were in actual shock as no one could have called this. Some people loved it and some people hated it. Many were upset that WWE let a 50-year-old man beat the Beast when someone younger could have become a superstar after beating him. But there was a report stating that Vince still thinks people have bad memory, clearly thinking we will forget about this in the future, but we won't. No, it's not gonna happen, Vince. Number 6, the invasion. When WWF purchased WCW, the world was shocked. Many were in disbelief. When Shane McMahon appeared at Nitro saying that he now owns WCW, people were even more shocked. This would be the start of the invasion storyline. WCW would interfere in WWF matches, and WWF did not like this at all. In retrospect, this storyline seemed like it could have been the best of all time, but instead of having guys such as the NWO and Sting represent WCW, we had Rhino, the Dudley Boys, Kurt Angle, and Stone Cold represent them. Due to not having the original wrestlers who actually made WCW as popular as it was, many felt that this storyline was poorly executed. We can only look back and imagine how good it could have been. Number 5, Katie Vick. This is WWE's worst storyline of all time. Kane and Triple H were involved in a feud for the World Championship. Triple H wanted to get in the head of Kane. In order to do so, he would bring up the name Katie Vick and explain how she relates to the Big Red Machine. She was Kane's ex-girlfriend in 1995, and while Kane was drunk driving, he crashed and she died. Triple H had a mannequin and would mock Kane with her. The worst segment was when he was in a funeral home and he only had a Kane mask and had sex with the mannequin. WWE can only wish we forget, but we never will. Number 4, Vince McMahon's death storyline. Vince McMahon apparently had one of the best storylines planned out that would shake things up in the WWE. It was his very own death angle. he would get into his limo, and once he shut the door, he exploded. Many fans were excited to see where this was going to go. Were they going to have a Who Killed Vince McMahon storyline? Did Triple H do it in order to become the owner of the WWE? There were so many possibilities. Rather than seeing where this would have went, Vince McMahon had to come back on TV to address something very serious, which brings me to number 3, the Chris Benoit tribute show. In 2007, a true tragic event occurred in regards to the WWE. It was reported that one of their superstars was found dead inside of his house. Chris Benoit alongside his wife and child were those people. This would cause Vince McMahon to end his death storyline. Vince McMahon would come back the next week on Monday Night Raw and honor Chris Benoit by showing highlights or having other wrestlers talk about how great he was. The very next day, WWE had found out that Chris Benoit had murdered his wife and kid and committed suicide. Vince would then go on TV apologizing for his tribute and say that they would never mention him ever again. Number 2, the MSG Curtain Call. Breaking kayfabe nowadays is not that big of a deal because almost everyone knows wrestling is scripted. But way back then in 1996, it was a big no-no. Scott Hall and Kevin Nash were about to leave to go to WCW, and one of their final matches at a live event involved Triple H and Shawn Michaels in a steel cage match. After the match was over, all 4 members would stand tall in the middle of the ring and have one last moment together. Although it was just a live event, Vince McMahon was angry that they broke kayfabe. He couldn't do anything about Scott Hall and Kevin Nash because they were leaving, and Shawn Michaels was the world champion, so Triple H got the worst of it. He got punished and he would have to wait a little longer for his push. Although they embrace this moment nowadays, back then, WWE didn't want anyone knowing about it. And number 1, the Montreal Screwjob. Since I and many other YouTubers have probably talked about this moment many times in our videos, I don't want to repeat myself for the 100th time, and you guys don't want to hear the same thing for the 100th time as well. Basically, Bret Hart got screwed by Vince at his home country. WWE looked like the ultimate douchebags for disrespecting someone who gave so many of his years to this company. And that's pretty much it, guys. As always, thanks for watching the video. I hope you all enjoyed. If you did, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe for more. Also, make sure you follow me on Twitter at Pllana. Check out my other channel, Official Life Facts, and I'll see you all later.